welcome back. It's now Monday evening and you're joining me for my interval session on the Monsal trail here in Derbyshire. So what I'll be doing this session is building a little bit and changing it up from last week's session. So last week I did 8 lots of 3 minutes, off 1 minute static recovery. This week I'm going to go for 12 lots of 2 minutes, but it's still that same 60-second static recovery. So in theory it should be an easier session, as I'm doing the same volume in terms of time on the reps, but I've got an extra minute recovery an extra 4 minutes recovery in total. So let's see how we get on. So that's 3 reps done now. I'm halfway there on the out section, so it's slightly uphill. The wind in my face on this section, so half of these to do, and then I'll be coming back downhill for the last 6. So pace wise that's pretty good, like just under 6 minute miles, which was, I didn't want to be any slower than doing the 3 minute reps, so pretty pleased with that. Keep it rolling into the last ones. So that's 6 reps done. I'm halfway now on the session, so I'm at the turnaround point where I've been running uphill on the trail into the wind on the first half. I'm just giving myself a little bit more static recovery, probably another minute or 2 on top of my minute recovery as opposed to the last one. So I'll be with the wind behind me, downhill on the last ones, and should be good to go. Yeah, so I was just dropping off the pace slightly. I was around 6:15 on that last rep and thought that my legs were pulling a little bit, so that's why I decided to have that static recovery, extra bit of recovery, so then I can do these last ones with good form. There's no point doing these 6 reps if my legs are shot, so bit of time to recovery and go again on the next ones. That's the end of the 8th rep now, so just got 4 left to do. Feeling much better going this way with the wind, with the slope. Feeling really good for the last 4 reps now. The 10th rep done now, another one around about 5:40, 5:45 pace, so really dropped it down with the help of the slope back here. So 2 more to go, let's get them done. Actually got the moons very visible there, and it's only about 6:30. Last rep now, let's make it count. Session done. It's a really good one to get in the bank, especially after a couple of days of, well, 3 days of a lot of walking. Haven't ran since Friday evening, so I was really pleased just to get out and get that one done. So for paces as well, they were very encouraging. That I was starting to worry a bit on the way out that I was creeping over that 6 minute mark pace wise, which was slower than my 6 per 3 minute reps around the flat bushlands. However, I did have to remind myself that I was running uphill into a bit of a headwind, so it did show on the last half that all my reps were around 5:40, which that effort probably equates to about sort of a 5:50 average pace on the flat. I know it's very rough, you can't really read too much into what your GPS watch is giving you over a 2 minute rep, but I'll take it as a guide and be quite happy with that session. So yeah, it's in the bank now. Onto an easy run still on the Monsal trail tomorrow morning. I'll get out before work, and then hoping to do a session at some point on a Wednesday, so probably be a tempo on Wednesday, trying to mix the sessions up this week. Welcome back. It's now Wednesday and I'm back on the washlands on home turf now, ready for my tempo session today. So what I've got is a 10-minute warm-up. I'm going to be hitting 5 miles tempo and then a 10-minute cool down at the end. So pace wise, I'm going to be looking at anything under 6:30 per mile. I'll set out at that pace, and if I can increase, get a bit quicker, maybe drop it down to the 6:20, 6:15 per mile. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So my key aim for this session, for a tempo session, is to try and hit even splits. So I'll be looking at try and get them as tight to the 6:30 as possible. Another thing is starting off comfortably so that I don't drop off towards the end, because I'm not getting benefit out of the session if I was to start at say 6:10s, then drop off close to 7-minute miles by the end. That's it, 5 mile tempo, off we go. Mile 1 done, bang on 6:20 pace, so not going out too quick. It's a little quicker than that 6:30 I said initially. So yeah, try and hold that for the next one. That's mile 2 done now in 6:22, so that's the sort of pace I want to be hanging on to. It's mile 3 done now, 6:19, so bang on pace. Starting to struggle a bit now. Oh, that was 6:32 for number 4. Dropped off a little bit on that one. Let's finish strong. That session done. So what I'm doing, I'm trying to incorporate into these tempo sessions, and ones where I've got a little bit of jog recovery, is when I finish a session just to continue rolling over at a really slow pace. It's the best way for recovery, I think. And also on the mental side of things, it breaks up that habit of finishing your sort of goal, your mental barrier. It could be in a marathon, you think, right, I'm going to run to mile 22 if you're struggling, and it breaks that barrier of just finishing your goal and stopping. So I've been able to finish my 5 mile tempo. It's around about 2 minutes since that session now, and I've just jogged on, and I feel a little bit out of breath, but I feel like I could get running again soon. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that session. I don't know the splits for that last one, it didn't give me it in my Garmin when I stopped, so I'll pop it in the comments, pop it on screen for you to see, but I think it was low 6:20s, so getting back down to that pace. So let's also talk about something called benchmarking. So you might have heard the term before, but you might also be thinking, I'm going out for an interval session like this, or a tempo session, and you think, I have no idea what pace I'm going to set off at or what pace I can achieve. So the majority of the time we often set off too quick, burn out, and then struggle in those last reps, and you're only really getting the benefit from that part of the session where you're running probably over what your target pace would be. So if I only did that for 3 miles of this session, I'd be leaving 2 miles on the table there. So it's a good idea to look at, say for this session it's a 5 mile tempo, I can look at what my 10k PB pace is. That's around 5:50s, so I'm thinking I'm not going to be in shape to run a PB on my lunch break off no taper, just off the back of a marathon, so I'm not going to set off at 5:50s. I can then also look at the session I did last week, which was a tempo session, and that was 3 mile tempo. I did around 6:25s, 6:30s, 6:40 sort of pace. So again, that was achievable. That was probably my low end target, so I thought I'll set off at 6:30s today, that's going to be comfortable, one I can achieve. And as it turned out, I hit a good groove at about 6:20s and was there or thereabouts able to manage that and hold it until the end. So that was sort of the thought processes behind predicting my paces for that session. Another thing I can do is review after the session, and if I remember rightly, about this time last year I did a 5 mile race at Beeston, 5 mile. Maybe I can dig out the Strava and put it on screen, and I think that was around 6:15, 6:20 pace. So another way you can look back and you can gain some confidence from that, because that was a midweek race that I took a light day off before to taper. Now I've got my race vest on, race shoes on, up for a race there. So to hit that sort of pace in a session is really encouraging, because it's not often you'll hit race pace in a session. If you are, you're probably overtraining a little bit too much. So that's one I can take confidence from, and then I can add it into my memory and do a bit of analysis on that for what pace I want to progress next week's session and put into my training going forwards. Good morning on Saturday, and surprise, surprise, I'm back here again at the Washlands because I'm here to do a session this morning. So the session this morning is quite simply just a 5k tempo. So I managed to get out early as I'm flying to Morocco later today, and got to leave pretty early to get down to Gatwick for the flight. So yeah, looking forward to my third session of the week, spinning my legs over. Just an update on last night's run. So did a easy 10-mile run, so that was with Robbie and Jacob. I ran out to Jacob's and we did a 6 mile with Robbie and Jacob, and then I ran back. So 10 miles for me, and the idea was to try and get a 90-minute run in, a bit of a long run, as I'd not done one of them since Manchester Marathon. So yeah, it's something I want to try and pick back up again and put back into my running routine. That's a 5k tempo done, so another one in the bank, and that's my third session for a week, so chuffed with that. And the session itself had a couple of hiccups, so I didn't quite go out at the pace I thought I might. I set off at sort of 6:15, 6:20s and wanted to try and hold that, but I did drop off to over 6:20 on the second, and I couldn't get that back again down to lower 6-minute miles. So yeah, but to be honest, I've still got out there and done a session, so that's a lot better than if I didn't run this morning. So the hiccup in the session was about half a mile to go. Felt like I needed a loo, so I did have a little pause there, which probably helped my last mile get under sort of 6:10s and back on average. So quick 30-second rest. Didn't actually need to go, but didn't want to risk it, so always better to be safe. Looks to be a new method for highlighting where the potholes are here in Burton. And that is it for this week's training. So bit of a total up there. I think I hit around 50 miles for this week, which is brilliant. I've been building back 30, 40, then 50 since Manchester Marathon, so I've had no niggles really, just building it back slowly, and looking to probably sit around this mileage mark as I drop my mileage towards 5k and 10k training anyway. So 50 might be about the peak over summer. A little less time on my legs and a little more time focusing on that speed. So that's where we are with the training. I got 3 sessions in this week. So I got the 5 mile tempo on Monday, went really well. Sorry, the interval session on Monday, the 5 mile tempo on Wednesday, and then did the 5k tempo this morning. So a really good week in terms of training. And just a bit of an update for next week, as I mentioned earlier in the video, going off to Morocco later, and that's for around about 2 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to spending some time with my girlfriend Ray and exploring more of Morocco. I've been once before and it's a lovely place. So we're going to do a hike up Mount Toubkal is one of the highlights, and spend a bit of time in the desert and by the coast. So I'm really looking forward to that, but it will mean probably I'm going to struggle to get a video in or any kind of structured training, as I don't want to be having to stick to any structured plan when we've got activities to do. So it may be a bit of a gap in the training vlogs, but fear not, I have been thinking of you guys and planned ahead, and I do have a video ready to release sometime next week. So if you hit that subscribe button, you'll be notified when it comes out. That is a review of the Monsal Trail where I was last week, so really good place to run, and another episode in that Places I Like to Run series. So thanks everyone for listening along and watching along. I'll be back in a couple of weeks.